Hi there, I am Devery Anderson, and I'm author of the book Emmett Till, The Murder That Shocked the World and Propelled the Civil Rights Movement. Now, today marks the beginning of the 70th anniversary of the Emmett Till lynching, and this is the first in a series of videos that I'll be doing over the following weeks about the various incidents and developments surrounding this historic and tragic case. Now, on the evening of August 24th, 1955, 14-year-old Emmett Till was visiting Mississippi from Chicago, and he climbed into a car with 7 other young people for what should have been an ordinary trip to town. The earliest and most reliable accounts say that 8 kids piled into Mose Wright's car that night. These were Emmett, of course, his cousins Maurice Wright, Simeon Wright, a more distant cousin by marriage, Wheeler Parker, neighbors Roosevelt Crawford and Ruth Crawford, and Felton Parker and Albert Johnson Jr. They lived in neighboring towns. And they originally planned to visit a cafe, but it was closed, so they stopped at the Bryant grocery in Money there in Mississippi. And this is where locals were playing checkers on the front porch. Now, while they were outside gathered watching this checkers game, an unidentified older boy said something that really would seal Emmett's fate. And according to multiple interviews with Wheeler Parker in the days that followed, this boy urged Emmett to go inside and, quote, look at the pretty lady, end quote, behind the counter. One account that was written a few months later said that Emmett had reportedly been showing off a photo of a white girl during that conversation. And in a separate investigation, a friendly source, civil rights leader T.R.M. Howard, said after interviewing some people that were present that night that Emmett Till talked of dating white girls back in Chicago. Now, Emmett went inside the store to buy bubble gum, and 21-year-old Carolyn Bryant was working behind the counter. Parker said that after a little while, he sent another boy into the store to get Emmett when he heard that there was, quote, trouble. Now, Maurice identified that boy as Albert Johnson. But here's where the story gets complicated. In his recent book, a memoir, Parker said that he never talked to any reporters and pointed out one in particular, William Bradford Huey, whom he adamantly denied talking to during Huey's investigation a few months later. But in a recently surfaced 1958 interview with Mamie Till's attorney, Joseph Tobias, Parker freely acknowledged that he did speak with Huey. Now, this same interview also provided new details about the role of a man named Johnny B. Washington that night. It's an important name to remember. Meanwhile, Carolyn Bryant told her story to an attorney, and over time, that story evolved and became filled with lies. On September 2nd, 1955, just 9 days after the incident, she told attorneys that Emmett Till touched her hand and asked for a date, and then said, "What's the matter, baby? Can't you take it?" She said another boy came in to get Emmett and that they left together, really without further incident. But 20 days later, in court, her story became much more dramatic. Now, in addition to what she said on September 2nd, this person she now referred to only as a Negro man, she said he grabbed her hand firmly when asking for a date, that she jerked her hand free, turned to go to the back of the store, but the man caught her by the cash register and placed his hands on her waist, bragging that he had been with white women before, but she said he used an unprintable word. Now, when the other boy came into the store to get this man, he left unwillingly. So everything else that happened then was done outside in front of several witnesses who talked about it. When Emmett left the store and went outside, Carolyn followed him out. This shows that she may have been upset by something that happened in the store, but that she wasn't afraid. Had she been afraid, I think she would have locked the door and stayed inside and tried to get some help. But her actions further contradict her later testimony here. Once they were both outside, Emmett waved at Carolyn and said bye, which upset her, and she walked toward her sister-in-law's car. And as she walked toward the car, Emmett whistled at her, that famous wolf whistle. The other kids got scared, yelled out that she was getting a gun, and Emmett and those with him ran toward their car and quickly left. Now, Johnny B. Washington was a black man who worked part-time at the Bryant store, and he was standing by Carolyn's car when she retrieved her gun. He saw everything unfold and told Maurice Wright, according to Maurice in this 1958 interview, "You better get him out of here," referring to Emmett. Emmett's cousins told reporters about the whistle just days later. Wheeler Parker called it, quote, "the wolf whistle call he whistled at a pretty white lady," end quote. Maurice Wright told reporters, quote, "I heard him whistle at the lady. It was a wolf whistle," end quote. And Simeon Wright even demonstrated the whistle for journalists, who said he performed it very well. Now, in Chicago or any northern city, a teenager's whistle would have been dismissed as just common teenage boy behavior, with maybe a light scolding by his mother. But in the Jim Crow South, a black boy whistling at a white woman challenged the very foundation of white supremacist control, and that made it a death sentence. So does the wolf whistle or anything that happened that night at the Bryant store, does any of that matter? No, not in justifying the lynching or anything that happened to Emmett afterward. But it matters only for history's sake. As a historian, I believe that facts matter, and we must do our best to get them right. That means studying all of the sources, relying on the earliest ones unless something compels us to do otherwise. When earliest sources, your memory is much better. When multiple accounts by the same person or between two or more people contradict each other, which happens a lot in this case, a historian has an obligation to take all the time necessary to decipher the truth and state why they came to the conclusion that they do. Anything less than that is irresponsible. So if you're interested in a signed, personalized copy of my book, or if you have further questions about the Emmett Till case, if you need me to clarify anything I said here, you can email me at deverysanderson@gmail.com. Now, next time, we're going to tackle the question, did Carolyn Bryant recant her fabricated version of the incident to historian Timothy Tyson?